because we were looking for a name and we didn't know what to name the crew. And that was our street crew name, Orange Top Crew, the Money Boss Players. That was our crew or our gang. So we just took our street name and put it to music. But that's how that came about. I'm sorry, man. I'll be long-winded.
No, it's all good. You answered all my questions without me having to ask. So who did the Money Boss Players early on consist of?
Oh man. Initially it was me and Tariq. My man Quam was like our leader. He's Sin-Q and now he's minister. Kwame Thompson, he's a minister now, but his uncle Scaramouche. It comes out of Rochester, believe it or not. There was a gang in Rochester called the G-Boys and the Money Boss Players. And Scaramouche, when he came, I guess he was on the run or something, but he was staying in the Bronx, and we was just the Money Boss Players. I want to say that name came about for us in '88, Orange Top Crew, Money Boss Players in the back of Soundview Projects. But the Money Boss Players, the actual, because see, Money Boss Players was like our little gang. So it probably was like 20 of us, right?
Right.
But the actual people that stepped up as artists was my man Big Eye, bless his soul. Big Eye just passed away. C-Dub was my man. That's my childhood friend. He from St. Lucia. Nigga, now all them Caribbean niggas is crazy with the pen. Me and Lord Tariq, of course. Eddie Chiba and Trey Bag come in a little bit later, but they closed the vacuum because Eddie Chiba's my little cousin. So and his right-hand man is Trey Bag. Once we got that 6, and believe it or not, we were before Wu-Tang, but we just didn't know what the fuck we were doing.
Right. Did you guys shop a demo earlier on?
Yeah, we ran around with the vinyls, and I'm trying to say, now look, right, from me doing the other thing, at the time I was in the street, and I would always be the lone gunman, the one to wander off by myself. So I'm not in the neighborhood now. I'm in Midtown Manhattan. I want to get into the music and the mob style I just hit at that time. I'm getting plenty money. And my partner, Puerto Rican guy, my partner's Puerto Rican. We call him Oye Negro, my man Mike. The way that I ended up getting into the industry was his first cousin, which is now known as DJ Talim, and his partner, DJ I-Truth. DJ I-Truth initially and DJ Talim secondly, they were the ones that kind of brung me around the industry because they were the dancers for Brand Nubian.
Right.
So it's like the universe will move you if you got that favor. The universe will move you where you were supposed to be, because now I got the idea of being a musician, and now I'm right close to the people that could get me in. So now enter Lord Tariq. I had got shot up in Midtown Manhattan when I was 18, 19 years old. So I'm back in my neighborhood now. I'm in Soundview. I'm on crutches. So I'm walking down the block. I meet Lord Tariq through his brother, because Lord Tariq's brother always been my guy. So walking down the block and they're playing a demo. And when they're playing a fucking demo, it's Tariq, but he's like 5% of God body. He's like, I'm the science, and I'm like, what the fuck? And when Mike brought me to him, his older brother Mike, I said, nah, fuck this 5% of shit. We're gonna do this drug rap. And he was like, all right. And then we started working together then under the name of Larceny Inc., Larceny Incorporated. See, this is before Money Boss Players. This is what leads up to the Money Boss Players. So that was the beginning. The chase went. The first crew was the Four Better crew. It was me, a guy named Baby J. Triple C was the DJ, and me and Tariq. And I did a lot of I'm in the early stages of Lord Tariq when he was on the doo-wop tapes. I did a lot of ghostwriting. That's my guy. It's not he can write himself, but it's like when I write, it gets a little more intense. So to being accurate on topics, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I did a lot of ghostwriting for Tariq, and the initial thing that made New York City turn and look like, because now we on the doo-wop tapes, we're on the we on the doo-wop tapes, we're on the triple C tapes, and everybody undeniably for that era, everybody was like, nah, this guy is the guy. They heard what I heard when I said I'm gonna put my pen with him.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say at that time, you younger, and the flaw that I had was I think everything would have worked better if I went and just did it myself. But at that time, it was like I want to sit in the back and I want to create the monster and sit back because that was my street mentality. You know, I'm gonna sit in the cut. So you know, we started messing around, and in time we incorporated C-Dub and Big I because they was from the projects too. They from Soundview. So Ed and Trey coming because Eddie is my cousin from cross town. So that's how him and Trey get pulled in. But by that time, man, we was hot as a firecracker. Everybody at the labels wanted us, but I would blame our youth and our ignorance on the things that went bad because I cursed at Leo Cohen in the meeting. I'm proud of myself, but we sat in a meeting with Leo Cohen, and he's talking about you can't look at. I understand what he was saying now as a grown man, but then my thing was like, "Fuck you, pay me. I don't care." And I called him a greedy J at the end of the conversation. But after that, the door started to close. You know what I'm saying? But I was just like, and we 19 years old, and I'm like, yo, bro. I said, you want 8 grown men to split 49 cents? But I
Mm-hmm.
call you a greedy so and so.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know no better than, but I'm proud of myself because it's only a few of us that can say my soul and my booty hole is intact. Because
Right.
we know now. I didn't know in my young years of my ignorance that the Moist Mafia really ran the industry.
Mm-hmm.
All that stuff is coming out now. We know now, but I didn't know there was a Moist Mafia. But definitely there's a Moist Mafia. If you want to get into entertainment, be strong.
Mm.
There's a lot of people, if you weak, you're going to come out of there hurt, you know?
So what was Lear Cohen's initial deal to where we got to the 49 cents?
Uh, Ask the question again.
What was his initial? How did he present? The deal to you where you was like, we're not splitting this 49 cents.
Well, I wanted $1.89 because back then albums sold for anywhere from $10 to $15. So I said, if we're going to do an 80-20, at least let us get the 20 because you already took it from 100% down to 100% of 80%. And now you took it even lower because he said, we got to pay for this, for this, for this, for this, for this. And this is before they had Rough Riders. This is before they had Rockefeller. This is before they had Murder Inc. all up in the building. This is before that. So we blew the deal on that, but we blew it on not really. So what Leo was saying was, look, I'm translating now and I'm paraphrasing what was actually said. Look, I'm going to jerk you. You're not going to make very much money with me, but I'm going to put you in a system where you're going to be around legitimate millionaires. You might get a deal with Adidas. You might become an actor. You might do this, that, and the third. But you just ain't going to get your money off of my music. And I'm taking the publishing. I'm taking all of your shit. You're not getting anything with me. So that was the initial thing. And the thing was, the crack children, which we were money hungry. We wanted the bread, bro. It was no way that we was coming in there and working with you and you wasn't paying with us. So it was like disrespectful. Like everybody was like, when we left the meeting, everybody was like, damn, Minnie, blah, blah, blah. And, I got a baby on the way and this and that. But I was like, yo, I'm going to get us the most money. I could get us $1 million because there was bidding wars and there were bidding wars at every label for us. But it went to our head. And what I didn't understand, was being with Leo, was being with the pinnacle or the pyramid. So he was right. He said, yo, you'll get this money with bumps and escalations when you go platinum. We're sure you're gonna go platinum, blah, blah, blah. But you just ain't gonna get it now. You gotta earn, you gotta work to earn. So we missed the deal on that. And then the other thing, there was a feud within our camp at the time. And the feud was we got with the guys that own Fed magazine. And when I say this was a feud, we were going to kill each other. If you look at Fed magazine, the first issue, you're going to see Money Boss players, you're going to see Warning Inc. It was wanted. We had the whole New York shouting that in the parties. Had them throwing up the W, not for West Coast, but for Wanted. And, you know, needless to say, these guys are, you know, ex-Bronx supervillains. And everybody didn't know them, but we knew them. And it was times where before we separated and went our ways, when we went to go meet up and do these meetings, we were meeting up with hammers on each other, hammers over music. So that was another internal part of the feud. That was another big part of the feud, you know? So I'm kind of glad it didn't happen, because I don't know if we would have been alive. Because we go into studio sessions. This is before all the drill rappers. We go in the studio. I'm going to Biggie's studio sessions with guns on me, machine guns and shit. So, I'm happy, man. Life is good, you know.
Right. At what point did you get into producing? I think we might have kind of jumped over that.
Production was by when we did the first demo. I went into my aunt's. I had a record called Brooklyn Bridge. This is my first beat. No, it's my first beat in the studio, because I had a friend named Fat Derek. God bless his soul, he passed away. I would go and sample everything up in Fat Derek's house. And he had, like, I don't even know what that shit was, a Casio. We would do stuff up there. But we go to Ready or Not Studios, which is on 130th and St. Nick. It's me, Triple C, Baby J, and Lord Tariq. And when we go to the studio, I'm literally telling the engineer, this is before I'm a producer, put the sample from Brooklyn Bridge, put the sample from James Brown, Damn Right I'm Somebody, and put Casey and the Sunshine Band, I Get Lifted. And then Triple C is scratching them. Get you. You can sell dope, but get your ass a job. That record, you look it up. It's called the Money Boss Players Drug War Rages. And that's the first. That's the first, outside of playing around in my friend's house, Fat Derek. That's the first beat I ever did, but I didn't have a beat machine. I just had it in my head, like I know it's gonna work together. And the engineer put it together in Ready or Not Studios. I think it's 310 St. Nicholas Avenue, tall building. And that was that, bro.
Wow.
That was that.
When the Ghetto Chronicle Daily dropped, what kind of reaction did you guys get?
Ghetto Chronicle Daily. It's a funny story. It's funny how the universe works, right? A dude we was hooked up with named Renee McClain. I think Renee McClain wanted to manage Tariq at the time, right? He would have something called, it was a DJ conference, international DJ conference. I think it was called Jack the Rapper. It was something where DJs from all over the world would come. And we had just got 1,000, because we only had 2,500 vinyls pressed up. So we had 1,000 of them, and we're coming from No Mystery Studios, right? And I'm random with shit. Like, I go off of the plan. It's always random with me, and I'm so glad I did this, right? So we wanted to give the records to DJs. So I said, yo, it's a DJ, come in. And he was like, no, fuck that, we tired, we going uptown. So we argued a lot. I argued in that car. They stopped at the convention. I went in the lobby. I didn't even get inside where the DJs were. I was on the outside. I never made it inside. And I was like, yo, here's our vinyl. It was niggas from Japan, China, Russia, Africa. And they took the first, that Money Boss album. And unbeknownst to me, we didn't have New York, but we had the planet. We did what Wu-Tang did before Wu-Tang with the Ghetto Chronicle Daily, Money Boss Players Ghetto Chronicle Daily. And that's how the record is a collector's item in Germany, Russia, Australia, because when the DJ said somebody was giving out records, I got rushed like I was giving away free heroin in the 70s or something. They almost knocked me over. I had to stop the guys from taking 4 copies. And that's how it became an international thing, because unbeknownst to me, those guys were probably famous where they were from.
Right.
So that's how the Ghetto Chronicle Daily, if you look it up, in Germany, people are still looking for the album. People are still looking for the album in Japan, China, because it was hip hop and they didn't give a fuck who I was. That shit could have been trash. It was just the right place at the right time, and the universe put us there. So that took our name. When it got to the industry, they knew, like, yo, how is these niggas all over? How is this record getting played all over the world? That's how.
That was very smart.
It was an accident. I'm not
Yeah,
gonna.
right.
I can't claim smartness. It was an accident, bro.
Right. No, that was magnificent on your part. Around this time, I believe you landed some placements on Grand Puba's 2000, which turns 30 this year. Talk about your relationship with Puba and how you landed on that album.
I got all my bad habits from Puba. He's the first celebrity that I actually built a relationship with. And I'm not blaming him, but what I used to do is if the studio session started at 9, Puba would come in at 2. So I thought it was okay to come in at 2, but the only reason that I would come in and I would record early was because I had access to the engineer and he wasn't coming to 1, 2 in the morning. Then he'd come with a chick and then he'd be high, he'd be chilling and shit. So me, he's at the top of his game, but at that time, he's still a child. You get what I'm saying? He's probably 21. Because the man's mind don't mature till around 26 to 28 years old. So I'm looking at him, and I got brung to him by remember, I had the drug thing going, and my partner's cousin, DJ Talim, was the brand Nubian dancer. So the other member, our truth, he's Cuban, he looked black, he light skinned, but he looked black, he like your complexion. Our truth was really the one who brung me to Puba. Talim was there too, but Cassius, his name is DJ Truth. Truth just he took to me and he was like, yo, come on. There wasn't no headache, it wasn't no sucker shit, wasn't no gatekeeping. He was like, come on. It was like, I know you dope. He got me with Puba, and that was it, man. And before that, let me go back a little bit. The person who showed me how to work a beat machine was Peter Gunn's producer, the one who did Deja Vu. And his name is K&S Scratch. Scratch is crazy. You think, well, he was like this guy named Mel Starr. He was like the first Mel Starr back then. He was crazy on the blades. And he was the one who took time out, showed me how to work the EPS 16 plus. And first was the EPS 16 plus. EPS 16 plus turns to the ASR 10. And then they went out of business. And I still got my ASR, bro. I like the analog sound. I like the warm sound. And then the thing with the ASR is I could take the sounds and I can manipulate them. I can't say my tricks on there, but I got some tricks where, let's just say I could take a note of a song, transpose it, and it's like I'm almost like playing I have access to every instrument from back in the days.
Right. Is this your first major label placement?
Yes. My first placement before Puba was it was either Talim or Truth that took me up to Mercury. I got cool with an A&R named Kenyatta Bell. And I was up there so much that my first placement ever, God bless his soul, was my man Gemini the Gifted One. He just recently passed away. Oh, heart attack. But Gemini the Gifted One, Brooklyn Kids, that was my first placement ever. And then a group out of North Carolina called Yag Fu Front. So I don't know. Maybe I might have did the beat for Yag Fu Front first, and they came out second. Or but those, I'm confused between those two. Gemini the Gifted One and Yag Fu Front, and Yag Fu was like a daylight type of a vibe.
Right. What do you remember most about working with Yak Fu Front?
Just some cool brothers, man. Hip hop junkies. You know, back then, see, as a street kid, I used to be laughing and shit because I used to think like that. Even though I was doing hip hop, I thought the hip hop niggas was square until I started getting them checks for 5,000 and 1,500 a beat. I'm like, well, I remember getting my first check as a person who used to be in the street. I was like, and I even tried to flip some of the money and stuff. I did some stuff like that, but after a while, I was like, wait a minute. I could just press buttons, and if somebody say I like this, I get 10,000. I jump to 5,000, 10,000, 15,000, 20,000 a beat. I'm like, what the hell? You know, so that's inspiration. I think that'll motivate anyone.
For sure. What do you remember most about those sessions with Pooh for 2000?
Him being late. He's a one-take Tony, so I know why he came late. He came, he laid his verse, he's gone. He was so nice. Like, you really gotta understand. Pooh was Jay-Z and Nas before there was a Jay-Z and Nas. Think about that. Style, rap. For that time, he was the cool guy. He just wasn't talking a bunch of dope boy talk. He was talking God body talk. But he was the Nas. He was the, before them, Pooh was that guy. It was amazing to work with him because when I was a little boy, they had a club called Rooftop, and they used to have performances on Saturdays. And I went to see Pooh. He was part of another group called the Masters of Ceremony. And them niggas was nice. But so Pooh was always the guy. You know, he always had a particular voice. You know, but yeah, it was working with Pooh. He was the elite. But right. I picked up my bad habits because he was influential. When I say my bad habits, he just didn't give a shit. And he was rebellious like me. But you know, when you got like real musicians, they're tardy. And then I picked up those habits from him, which are probably like really bad habits, but I changed them now. If I got a studio session and that shit start at 7, I'm gonna be there at 5:30. That shit is over. I don't play about that money no more. Like, I don't think this shit is a joke. I do everything, whatever I gotta do, I'm there. Right. Count me in.
Being on a major label, you know, producing tracks for Pooh, how did life change for you after that album came out? Or, you know, artists now seeking production?
It changed in the sense of just having legitimate finances. But, you know, the thing with me back then, I was a degenerate gambler. So I blew all that fucking money, you know. So, you know, you're getting 10, 20,000 a track. You might be getting 3 placements a month. You're making 60,000 a month, 40,000 a month. It's 12 months in a year. I kind of messed up. So, and then it was so easy. And then I took it for granted. Coming from some kind of money and grinding, I thought it was going to be like that forever. So, it was cool, you know. You around celebrities, you don't give a shit. I just didn't give a shit. I don't care about celebrities because when I found out a celebrity's life is worse than yours, yo, it's terrible. Right. Their life is terrible, bro.
Right. Now getting all these big,